Welcome to the debate. Today, we're diving into a really compelling story. Daniel Bates' powerful testimony that K-pop, and specifically the group Twice, didn't just entertain him, but actually saved his life, feeling, as he put it, more real than anything I'd seen in years. Now, this isn't just, a casual fan's comment. It's coming from an industry insider. And that throws a fascinating challenge at how we usually think about authenticity in, well, highly structured entertainment.
Exactly. So the big question we're tackling today is this. How can an industry as, frankly, rigorously structured and meticulously polished as K-pop be perceived as embodying such a real and authentic connection, especially by someone who knows the music world inside out like Bates? How does that compare to other ways music gets made?
And my argument today is going to be that K-pop's unique brand of authenticity really comes from the visible effort you see from the artists, their moments of transparent vulnerability, and crucially, the deeply reciprocal connection they build with their fans.
And my perspective, well, it diverges a bit there. While I absolutely recognize the profound personal impact, the feeling, for people like Daniel, I want to explore the, let's say, complexities of authenticity within such a controlled system. We really need to think about the huge role personal perception plays and also the industry's own hand, the inherent mediation in shaping that feeling of realness. Is it an objective thing about K-pop or more about the subjective experience of its impact?
Okay, so diving into my position, Daniel Bates's view here. It isn't just some casual fan's emotional reaction, right? He's a seasoned artist himself, a producer, storyteller, entrepreneur. He has deep knowledge of the material. He knows the nuts and bolts of the Western music industry intimately. He'd known what real felt like there, in his own words. So when someone like him describes K-pop as feeling more real than anything I'd seen in years, well, that expert discernment carries real weight. I'd argue that the visible grind, the years of intense training, the sheer dedication, the passion that K-pop idols like Twice clearly demonstrate, that creates a profound and, I think, undeniable authenticity. This isn't Libra hidden behind the curtain. It's part of their public journey. And then this gets amplified by these moments of transparent vulnerability. Think about when Mina had to step away for severe anxiety, or Jonghyun took breaks for her mental health. But for me, the ultimate statement, something almost unheard of in the industry, was when all nine members, collectively renewed their contracts in 2022. That's such a powerful statement of unity, of loyalty, a shared vision that just goes so far beyond any kind of manufactured persona. It's this collective commitment, this genuine human connection that Daniel, being at such a profoundly vulnerable point in his life, could uniquely recognize and appreciate as truly real.
Okay, I hear you on the impact, and the dedication is clear. But I'm hesitant to fully agree that the K-pop system, as a whole, is inherently more real than others, even considering Daniel's powerful experience. The talent and effort of these artists, absolutely, beyond question. And Daniel's deep emotional connection is palpable. You feel it in his words. However, we really have to consider the industry's highly structured nature. I mean, paradoxically, that structure shaped Twice's very formation. They were essentially forged in the crucible of the 16 Survival Show, a pretty brutal reality program where trainees battle it out for a spot. And even their final lineup, remember, had these controversial twists. Tsuzu was added by fan vote after being eliminated, and Momo was personally brought back by the producer, JYP himself. Now that clearly shows producer and audience intervention, right? Not purely organic development. And then there's the constant, relentless pressure within this system to maintain that polished look, to achieve perfection. That inherently introduces a constant degree of mediation. It has to. So I'd argue that Daniel's own state, his profound personal vulnerability, the deep darkness he described, feeling like he was already gone, having lost the rhythm of life, that made him uniquely receptive. The consistent, positive, and yes, structured world of Twice probably felt intensely real to him, precisely because it was a refuge. It provided a much-needed framework, a sense of order in his personal chaos, and that feeling is powerful, absolutely. But does it reflect the objective level of mediation in the industry itself? Maybe not entirely.
That's an interesting point about the starting point, the structural elements. But I'd frame Daniel's assessment of realness maybe a bit differently. He specifically points out how the visible raw effort, the visible labor, the genuine commitment to their craft he saw in K-pop felt, and this is his word, paradoxically more honest than the, let's say, market-driven decisions and often less visible curated personas he knew so well from the Western music industry. Think about it. How many Western artists seem to rise almost overnight, often through maybe a viral moment or some calculated controversy, with maybe less emphasis on showing that sustained visible training period. In contrast, you look at Twice's early days after 16, their debut song like Ooh Ah Ah, it wasn't some overnight explosion. It was more of a slow burn connection it built steadily online. And those iconic moments, like Sana's Shy 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 line from Cheer Up, they went viral precisely because they felt like authentic little expressions, right? Things fostered by that relentless, visible dedication that fans could actually see and connect with deeply. It wasn't about hiding the work. It was about a kind of sincerity within the work itself. And for Daniel, that translated into an unvarnished honesty he hadn't seen in years.
I see where you're coming from, and yes, the dedication is absolutely undeniable, but I would argue that the grind itself, it's become a core, often celebrated element of the K-pop system. It's intentionally presented, it's curated to a degree for the audience. I mean, the whole factory stereotype, whether fair or not, exists precisely because of this model of intensive training and production. It's not just a reality, it's become a powerful part of the narrative, the testament to hard work, overcoming adversity. So my question is Daniel's perception of raw effort genuinely distinct from the industry's very strategic showcasing of that effort? Is it separate from how they build their brand and narrative around it? Or is it just a different form of mediation, one that maybe emphasizes visible struggle rather than pretending it doesn't exist, which might be more common elsewhere? The industry explicitly capitalizes on this narrative overcoming adversity through sheer hard work. It's a compelling story, it's relatable, absolutely, but it is still a story being told within a very carefully constructed system. So, are we really talking about objective, unmediated authenticity here, or are we talking about the powerful feeling of authenticity that comes from a really well-crafted narrative of dedication?
I'm not entirely convinced by that line of reasoning because it feels like it implies any transparency is automatically just strategy, which kind of diminishes the genuine human element involved. My counterpoint would be that the transparency around the Twice members' struggles, like Mina stepping away for severe anxiety that was 2019-2020, and Jungyeon's hiatuses for mental health and injury, spanning 2020 to 2022, these weren't just, swept under the rug. In an industry that is often seen as obsessed with perfection, these issues were openly acknowledged, they were supported by the group, by their company, JYP Entertainment. These feel like more than just calculated PR moves. They seem like open acknowledgments of very real human vulnerability. And that humanizes the idols, right? It creates a more profound connection than a perfectly manufactured image ever could. And furthermore, that collective decision, all 9 members renewing their contracts in 2022, defying the infamous 7-year curse, that phenomenon where so many K-pop groups disband or lose members around their 7th anniversary. That was, as Daniel himself noted, basically unheard of. It really stood out. It was such a powerful statement of unity, loyalty, a shared vision. It provided a symbolic anchor for someone like Daniel, who described himself as feeling profoundly fragmented. This perceived, pure, and real form of love, this mutual support, not just within the group, but also with their fans, once, which is what their fan base calls themselves, that really underscores a deeply authentic reciprocal bond that I think transcends just entertainment or marketing. It feels like it goes beyond industry strategy. It feels like genuine human connection.
That's a compelling point about the power of their shared vulnerability, and I absolutely agree those moments are incredibly impactful for fans. But have you considered that even that kind of transparency can still be a highly considered,
even managed element within an industry so focused on perfection. While it's emotionally resonant, yes, these moments don't necessarily dismantle the inherent structural elements that mediate the whole artist-fan relationship. Actually, you could argue that in an industry where idols are often held to impossibly high standards, strategically unveiling some vulnerability can actually build deeper fan loyalty. It makes the idol seem more accessible, more human, more relatable. It's a very delicate balance, isn't it? We've seen similar things, maybe different forms, in Western celebrity culture too. The carefully managed tell-all moment that can serve to re-engage an audience. So these human moments are powerful, certainly. But are they truly outside the curated narrative? Or are they maybe integrated into a broader, still curated story of resilience and connection that ultimately enhances the group's brand and deepens that fan engagement? The question for me isn't about their sincerity, not at all, but about the framework within which that sincerity is presented and received.
I see why you might analyze it through that strategic lens, but I think Daniel's specific context here is just absolutely crucial. His perspective, again, isn't merely that of an emotionally affected casual fan. He's a seasoned artist himself, a producer, storyteller, entrepreneur. He has deep knowledge of the material, an intimate understanding of the nuts and bolts of the music industry. So when he says K-pop, specifically Twice, felt more real than anything I'd seen in years, that's coming from an expert's discernment. It's not simply an emotional reaction void of context. He felt he recognized a profound, authentic truth that actually resonated with his professional insights. He described feeling an electric pull from artist to soul, experiencing spiritual clarity, feeling seen, loved at their concerts. I mean, these aren't just descriptions of standard entertainment experiences, are they? For him, they transcended. They pointed towards something profoundly, authentically true. For Daniel, finding God in the music, experiencing transcendence, feeling truly alive again, these were direct results he felt of that authentic connection he perceived. It seems to be about more than just clever marketing. It's about a deep resonance that an industry professional, even in distress, could identify as distinct and powerful.
That's an interesting point about his expertise, and I don't dispute his professional background or the genuinely transformative nature of his experience. It's quite moving, actually. However, I'm still not entirely convinced that his professional lens fully overrides the profound impact of his personal context at that specific time. We just can't overlook the severity of his mental health challenges, his bipolar disorder, the depression, the debilitating burnout he described. That feeling of having lost the rhythm of life, that he felt like he was already gone. That state surely left him, as he said, uniquely open, perhaps uniquely receptive, to the kind of genuine feeling he encountered with Twice. The consistent, positive vibe, the, let's call it, emotional architecture provided by their music and their presence. It likely acted as a vital refuge for him. It offered a sense of order, of connection, in a time of profound personal chaos.
So, it seems highly plausible that Daniel felt this realness so intensely, in large part because of his own deep personal needs and how he interpreted Twice's consistent, positive energy. It effectively gave him permission to feel again, as he put it. But does that experience necessarily mean K-pop as an industry is objectively less mediated than others? Or was it just profoundly, subjectively real for him in that critical moment, fulfilling a deep personal need in a way other art forms hadn't during his period of extreme vulnerability? His experience speaks volumes about the power of art, definitely, but maybe less about the inherent structural authenticity of an entire global industry.
To summarize my view, for individuals like Daniel Bates, it's that unique blend, the visible, unrelenting dedication, the shared vulnerabilities that really do seem to transcend carefully constructed images, and that genuinely reciprocal connection within the K-pop system, especially with a group like Twice, that creates an authentic and deeply transformative experience. It goes far beyond just superficial entertainment. I think his story profoundly demonstrates how the raw human spirit can indeed shine brightly, even through the most polished of artistic endeavors, forging connections that, in Daniel's own words, literally saved a life.
And I'll certainly agree that K-pop undeniably fosters incredibly powerful emotional connections and a strong sense of community.
Daniel's story is a vivid illustration of that power. However, I maintain that the perception of its realness is complex. It seems often deeply intertwined with the audience's individual needs and subjective experiences, like Daniel's, and it consistently operates within that highly structured, very mediated industry framework. This really prompts us, I think, to consider more deeply how authenticity is truly constructed, how it's presented, and how it's received in modern media landscapes, acknowledging both the genuine effort and artistry involved and the systemic mediated elements that are always at play.
Absolutely. Ultimately, Daniel's story really illuminates the profound and sometimes quite unexpected impact that art and community can have on individual well-being.
Agreed. And by exploring these different perspectives, hopefully we deepen our understanding of that nuanced, complex relationship between artists, the industries they work within, and us, the audiences, recognizing there's always more to explore in the rich material that connects us all.